Materials I have used in this portrait sketches are charcoal pencils and graphite pencils, and graphite pencils up to 6B and 8B, and smallest up to 2B pencils. The measurements of the sketches, and personally I have used a grid method for making perfect portrait sketch, and using X and Y axis you can see this portrait as an example of Y axis and X axis as boxes, and using a main or real time, if you want to see a real time sketch, then it will be uploaded in 4 to 6 days on my second channel, and link will be on description box. So first of all, as you can see that I have made a soft or the hardest charcoal pencils I have used to make a base layer of hairs, making smaller, as I have said in other portrait sketches, that first make small lines of base layer first, then do it more darker and more darker. As you can see, first base layer I have used hard charcoal pencils, using a directional method as I always use. Make smaller hairs first and then make the directions. As you can see, the left hand side of the Berlin, or you can say the portraits, there is layer a bit of small hairs that are leftovers, or you can say that smaller portions of lights on this side of hairs. So I've just left it out because I am using first as a base layer, so no darkening or no more parts. So on the left hand side, as from the reference picture, we can see that the darkest part are on right hand side of his face and the lightest part is on left side. So of course the light source will be on this or the left side of the face, so this side will be more darker as compared to this. So of course these hairs will be more lighter as compared to this one. So making smaller hairs, and this part of his hair are totally dark as it is on behind, or I can say that backwards of hairs, so it will be a totally dark. You can darken them with the harder pencils, or as you can see that I have used a medium length makeup brush for easy blending so that smaller hairs also get blended. Now I have used a medium length charcoal pencils for making the darkest part of hair, because and lefting the, or I have used the smaller portions which be your hair, so that this part look more realistic as compared to any other parts. So for this upper part of his head or the upper part of hairs, I have used a small charcoal pencils, small directional length of charcoal pencils like circulars, this type of, or as you can see that the uppermost part of his hairs are like snake. You can make a S for drawing a perfect hairs for upper part, or I have left smaller portions in between the highest and the lowest, which is the darkest part, because those are the highlighted parts. And the main thing you know about highlighted parts is that these portions will be most highlighted and upper and lower part will be most darkened or the shadowed part. So using a medium length charcoal pencils, I am just darkening the small hairs. I will recommend you to don't go directly or don't direct any other pencils, or you can say that for hairs, if you want to darken hairs, don't use a 6B or 8B pencils. If you see that darkest parts, just go for charcoal pencils, but don't use graphite above charcoal or don't use charcoal above graphite because they won't be blended. Now as you can see that I have darkened the other parts also, and every part of hairs is looking same, so you can use a smaller highlighted brush for highlighting smaller portions of hairs. Now for making his forehead, just go for small pores, as I have told you in previous videos that use a 2B sharpened pencils for making small highlighted directional of hairs, or you can say that forehead skin texture. Using a soft pencil, just make a base layer first so that this part is more shadowed as compared to another parts, so leaving small portions here which is more highlighted as compared to other portions. Now for making eyebrows, I have used a charcoal pencils which is harder one. Use a direction for making those eyebrows. Don't use charcoal pencils for making skin textures. Now using a smallest brush, I have just blended this part of his head. Now for making any other skin texture parts above eyebrows, I am just using a 4B pencils for making second layer of skin texture. So now darkening the only parts of eyebrows which are the darkest. This part, which is the starting of eyebrow, is not much darker as compared to another part of eyebrow. So using the same procedure as I have used before, that third layer of pencil will be 4B or 5B. So making smaller texture of skin in forehead, just go small portions which you see are darker. Don't darker every part of skin texture because it will not give you a realistic look. Making smaller portions using a soft hand pencils, use small directional skin pores for making this forehead part. Now blending those portions which you have used or darkened before. Now using a sharpened rubber, as I have told you or showed you in before or previous videos, that you can sharpen a rubber and make a highlighted portions of face which will give you a highlighted, or you can say that realistic look. Now for this right hand side of eyebrow, I have used the same method as I have used in left hand side of eyebrow. Now main difference is that this part of eyebrow is more lighter as compared to medium of this picture. Okay, so darken only middle part and just highlight first and last part of this portrait. Now for making his eyes, I have just used a charcoal pencils for giving a darker look, as this part of face of his is totally dark as compared to this one. So using a charcoal pencils, you can give a darker look, or you can also use 8B pencils, but for that you have to go for too many layers for a perfect sketch. As same thing you can also use and make a charcoal pencils. As you can see that smaller portions I have used a sharpened charcoal pencils because you don't want that any other details you have missed, because if you used unsharp pencils, it will give you a thicker look as compared to a sharpened pencils. So making a smaller details here and under his eyelashes and small, no more as compared to left hand side of eyes, not much details are visible. So you can just make a smaller eye of cornea and left a small white portions in between, and make any other parts just darken them. So as you can see that I have darkened this part of right hand side of nose and any other part of this, and first part of this nose is this one, which is little bit of more darker as compared to any other part, and of course this part will be most dark as compared to another part of nose. So using charcoal pencils, I have just darkened these two portions. Now using 4B pencils, or you can also use 3B pencils for making shadows of eyes, as you can see that I have used same method before, and you can also use same method in this one too. I have used soft charcoal pencils for making those darker portions, giving higher values of charcoal pencils to left hand side of eye. You can also use 8B pencils or 6B pencils for making left hand eye, because it will not affect, or you can say that this is lighter part, so it will not affect the main shadowed portions. So as you can see that smaller details I have made above eye, which are eyelashes and any other parts. So using the same technique, I am just making a small skin textures here. There is a more, or I can say that much highlighted portions here of his face, so you can leave them without making any other skin textures, or you can use any other small portions of skin texture, but I will recommend you to leave this part of his face because there is a more. If you have learned something from this video, subscribe and drop a like, share it with friends and family, and comment down your questions and queries regarding this tutorial. Meanwhile, take care of your loved ones too. Have an artistic day. That is. I always thought that does art require good quality products? Then I came up with the idea of sharing my artworks with you all and how I do it. Best advice I can give you for a good portrait sketching is that start sketching right now. Always remember, artists make art, art doesn't make artists. Subscribe now by clicking here, or the lid of your pencil will break every time you draw. And click here if you want to learn more about portrait drawings.